Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors and professionals, listeners and learners, those who are listening, watching from the field of science, arts, commerce and engineering, the most honorable President President Modi ji, respected ministers and doctors, honorable advocates, advertisers, administrators and advisors, Reverend fathers and mothers, affectionate sons and daughters, I Dr. Rakesh from USA, heartily cordially welcome all of you. It is really nice time, nice place, nice section today. We are appreciating, admiring, praising words and terms of English that our students feel the most complicated and complex while reading, writing, speaking and listening in English. Simply, in the public administration, hospitals, transportation, means of communication, industries, agriculture, railways, banks and hospitals. Everywhere we feel, we see, we think some specific terms related to that department. So for knowing in detail the terms of English, especially that we use in hospitals. Generally, in general hospitals, we do not find such specialist or super specialist doctors. So, simply we are treated. But at any particular place where we visit for the special surgery of any part of our body intensively, then we must understand some specific words of English related to hospitals. Urologist specializes in urine diseases. Psychiatrist specializes in treating persons with mental aberrations. Podiatrist specializes in feet ailments. Pediatrician specializes in children's diseases. Osteopath specializes in treating persons with clogged teeth. Orthopedist specialized in bone disease. Rhinologist specializes in nose disease. Psychologist specializes in human mind. Psychiatrist specializes in mental disorders. Philatelist specializes in stamp collection. Pediatrician specializes in children. Pathologist specializes in detecting the nature and origin of disease. Otologist specializes in ear disease. Orthodontist specializes in teeth disorders. Ornithologist specializes in birds. Optometrist specializes in eyes, power and glasses. Oculist specializes in eyes. Ophthalmologist specializes in eye disease. Neurologist specializes in nerve disease. Numismatist specializes in coins. Meteorologist specializes in atmosphere. Lepidopatrist specializes in butterflies. Ichthyologist specializes in history of fishes. Horticulturist specializes in gardens. Hematologist specializes in blood. Gynecologist specializes in female disease. Gerontologist specializes in diseases of old age. Graphologist specializes in handwriting. Endocrinologist specializes in disease of glands of internal secretion. Entomologist specializes in insects. Dermatologist specializes in skin disease. Cardiologist specializes in heart disease. Cosmetologist specializes in beauty problems. Cosmetologist specializes in beauty problems. Chiropodist specializes in hand or feet disease. Apiarist specializes in beekeeping. So these are the names of the specialists in the field of medical science. Study of science, learners and learning. List of some lozi words. Archaeology. Name of the scientist is archaeologist. A scientist in the archaeology is called archaeologist, and his subject is prehistoric remains. Astronomy. Name of the scientist is astronomer. Scientist of the astronomy is called astronomer, and his subject is heavenly bodies. Anthropology. Name of the scientist is anthropologist, and he studies mankind. Animalogy. Name of the scientist animalologist, and he studies wind. Angiology. Name of the scientist is angiologist, and he studies blood vessels. Botany. Name of the scientist is botanist, and he studies plant life. Biology. Name of the scientist is biologist, and he studies physical life. Chromatology. Name of the scientist chromatologist, and he studies colors. Next is cardiology. Cardiology is a branch of science. Cardiologist is the name of scientist in cardiology, and he studies heart. He operates heart in the hospitals. Carpology. Carpology is a branch of science, and name of the scientist carpologist. He studies map drawing. Choreography. Choreography is a branch of science, and name of the scientist is choreographer. He studies bullet designing. Chronology. Chronology is a branch of science, and a person who studies of chronology, he is known as chronologist, and his subject of study is dates. Cosmology. Cosmology is a branch of science, and a person who handles or tackles with the cosmology, he is called cosmologist, and he studies universe. Next branch of science is cryptology. Cryptology is also a branch of science, and cryptologist studies it. Name of the scientist in cryptology is called cryptologist. He handles codes of language. Dactylology. Dactylology is also a branch of science, and dactylologist, name of the scientist, a person who handles dactylology in science. Especially he studies fingerprints. That is called dactylologist. Dactylologist. Dendrology. Dendrology is a branch of science and dendrologist studies it. He studies about trees. Demography. Demography is also a branch of science and demographer studies it. Being a scientist, he studies statistics of human population. Dermatology. A branch of science and the name of scientist is dermatologist. A doctor or a person who treats skin, he is called dermatologist. In the branch of science that is called dermatology. Entomology. It is also a branch of science and entomologist, being a scientist, studies it. He studies of insects. Epigraphy. Epigraphy is also a branch of science and epigraphist studies it. Especially he studies about ancient inscription. Etymology is a branch of science. Etymologist is the name of scientist who studies it and he handles related to his subject is derivation of words. That is, he is called etymologist. Ecology. Ecology is also a branch of science and ecologist is the name of doctor or person who studies environment. His subject is environment. He is called ecologist. Embryology. Embryology is also a branch of science and embryologist is the name of scientist or doctor who handles, who discusses or studies beginning of life. Ethology. A person who treats animal behavior. He is called as ethologist. He is called as ethologist. Ethnology. Ethnology is a branch of science and ethnologist is the name of doctor or a person who studies races of mankind. Zoology. Geology is a branch of science and geologist is the name of scientist or doctor who handles with rocks, who treats with rocks. Graphology. Graphology is also a branch of science and name of the doctor or person who handles its or name of the scientist, we can say he is graphologist. He is graphologist and he studies handwriting. His subject of study is handwriting. Gerontology. Gerontology is a branch of science and a person or doctor or scientist who handles it. His name is gerontologist and his subject of study is old age disease. Hierology. Hierology is a branch of science and hierologist is a scientist or doctor who handles or his subject of study is clock making. Hydrology. Hydrology is a branch of science and name of the doctor or person is hydrologist. His subject of study is water. Ichthyology. Ichthyology is a branch of science. Name of the doctor or person who treats it, he is ichthyologist and his subject of study is fish. Lexicography. Lexicography is a branch of science and lexicographer is the name of scientist or doctor or a person Its subject of study is dictionary compiling. A person who compiles dictionary, he is called lexicographer. Lithography. Lithography is a branch of science, and a person who studies stone engraving is called lithographer. His name is lithographer. Name of the scientist is lithographer. Name of the scientist or doctor or person in this field is lithographer. Next is meteorology. Meteorology is a branch of science, and the name of scientist who handles it is his name is meteorologist. Its subject of study is weather forecast. Numismatics. Numismatics is a branch of science, and numismatics is a scientist who handles his subject of study is coins and medals. Ornithology. Ornithology is a branch of science, and the name of scientist is ornithologist. Ornithologist, a person whose subject of study is lives and habits of birds. Oenology is a branch of science, and oenologists study in it about wines. Onereology. Onereology is a branch of science, and onereologist is a doctor or scientist who studies about dreams. Oeology. Oeology is also a branch of science, and oeologist is a name of doctor or scientist who works in the field of eggs. Ophiology. Ophiology. Ophiology is a branch of science, and ophiologist is the name of scientist whose subject of study is snakes. Ornithology. Ornithology is a branch of science, and ornithologist is the name of scientist or doctor. Its subject of study is mountains. Ornithologist, whose subject of study is birds. Ornithology. Ornithologist, birds. Orology. Orology is a branch of science, and name of doctor or scientist is orologist, whose subject of study is mountains. Phrenology. Phrenology is a branch of science, and phrenologist is the name of scientist or doctor whose subject of study is skull. Philology. Philology is a branch of science, and philologist is the name of doctor or scientist. Its subject of study is languages. Pedology. Pedology is a branch of science. Name of the scientist is pedologist, whose subject of study is children. Pathology. Pathology is a branch of science. Pathologist is the name of scientist or doctor. He treats with diseases. Pathomology. Pathomology or potamology. Potamology is a branch of science, and potamologist is the name of scientist or doctor who studies about rivers. Pedology. Pedology is also a branch of science, and the pedologist is the name of scientist or doctor who treats with children. He is called pedologist. Pomology. What is pomology? Pomologist is a scientist or doctor who handles it, and its subject of study is roots. Physiology. Physiology is a branch of science, and physiologist is the name of doctor or scientist who treats and whose subject of study is physical function. Psychology. Psychology is a branch of science, and the name of doctor or scientist is psychologist, whose subject of study is the human mind, speech, sound of a language. Let us read it again. Psychology, psychologist, the human mind. Phonology, phonologist, speech, sound of a language. Philately. Philately is a branch of science, and philatelist is the name of doctor or scientist whose subject of study is stamp collecting. Paleontology. Paleontology is a branch of science, and paleontologist is the name of scientist or doctor whose subject of study is fossils and other forms of early life. Radiology. Radiology is a branch of science, and the name of doctor or scientist is radiologist whose subject of study is radioactivity. Seismology. Seismology is a branch of science, and the name of scientist or doctor is seismologist, a person who handles earthquakes. A person whose subject of study is earthquakes. Speleology. Speleology is a branch of science, and the name of doctor or scientist is speleologist, a person whose subject of study is caves. Scatology. Scatology is a branch of science, and the name of person who handles it, name of doctor or scientist is scatologist. Scatologist whose subject of study is vulgar language. Scatologist whose subject of study is vulgar language. Selenology. Selenology. Selenologist handles it, who is doctor or scientist. His subject of study is moon. Sociology. Sociology is a branch of science. A person or doctor or scientist who handles his name is sociologist. His field is societies and human behavior. Taxilology. Taxilology is a branch of science. Name of doctor or scientist or a person is taxilologist, and he works in the field of flags. Topography. Topography is a branch of science, and the name of scientist or doctor is topographer. He studies, his subject of study is physical feature of a place through map or chart groups. Tricology. Tricology is a branch of science, and trichologist is the name of a doctor or scientist or person who handles, treats the field of hair. He is called trichologist. Ufology. Ufology is a branch of science, and the name of doctor, scientist or person in this field is called ufologist, and his subject of study is flying objects. Zoology. Zoology is a branch of science, name of doctor or scientist who works in it. His name is zoologist, and his subject of study is different kinds of animals. So these are some important terms that we read in English, especially our scholars who are preparing themselves for appearing in any competitive examination. Lover of things, lover of things, lover of books are called bibliophile, lover of children is called pedophile, lover of animals is called zoophile, lover of trees is called dendrophile, lover of hands is called chirophile, lover of feet is called podophile, lover of horses is called hippophile, lover of knowledge is called bibliologist, lover of words is philologist, lover of nomadic life, nomads, lover of vegetables, vegetarian, lover of meat, carnivore, lover of human flesh, cannibal, lover of grandeur, megalomaniac, lover of war, warmonger, lover of peace, pacifist, peace-loving, lover of democracy, democrat, lover of dictatorship, dictator, lover of mobocracy, mobocrat, lover of good food, gourmet, lover of good taste in art, painting, etc., connoisseur, lover of traveling around the world, globe trotter, lover of God and religion, theist, lover of alcoholic drink, drunkard, lover of society, sociable, lover of money, mercenary, lover of sports and games, sports fan, sportsman, lover of mankind, humanitarian, philanthropist, lover of material things, materialist, lover of self, narcissist. Dear friends, these are the very important terms. The hater of persons and things. Hater of women is called misogynist. Misogynist is a person who is hater of women. Hater of mankind is called misanthrope. Hater of knowledge is called misologist. Hater of alcoholic drinks, teetotaler. Hater of war, pacifist. Hater of idol worship, iconoclast. Hater of pomp and show, austere. Hater of marriage, celibate, misogamist. Hater of worldly life, recluse. Graphy words. Autobiography. Story of a person's life written by himself. Biography. Story of a person's life written by someone else. Calligraphy. Elegant handwriting. Chronology or chronography, a record of past time, history. Demography, study of births, deaths, diseases, etc. to show the condition of a community. Epistolography, the art of letter writing. Epistolography. Geography, science of the earth's surface, physical features, divisions, climate, products, population. Homography, method of spelling a word which is like another but with a different meaning. Lithography, process of printing from parts of a flat stone or sheet of zinc or aluminium that are prepared to receive a greasy ink. Microcosmography, a description of man as a microcosm. Orthography, writing with correct penmanship, and spelling. Seismography, the study of earthquakes. Photography, art or process of taking photographs. Telegraphy, the technique of sending messages by electrical signals. Videography, the recording of sound and vision, for example of television programs by magnetic tape. Xeroxography, a scientific method of photostating. Measuring time, annual, happens once in a year. Biannual, happens twice in a year. Biennial, happens in 2 years. Bicentennial, 200th anniversary. Bimillennial, 2000th anniversary. Centennial, 100th anniversary. Centenary, one who is 100 years old. Century, a period of 100 years. Decennial, happens 100 times in a year. Decennial, happens once in a 10 years. Decentennial, happens once in 1000 years. Duodecennial, happens once in 12 years. Hexcentennial, 600th anniversary. Millennial, happens once in 1000 years. Millennium, a period of 100 years. Novennial, happens once in 9 years. Octennial, happens once in 8 years. Octogenarian, in 80s. Pentacentennial, 500th anniversary. Perennial, happens throughout the year. Quadrennial, happens in 4 years. Quadricentennial, happens in 400 years. Quincentennial, happens in 500 years. Quinennial, happens in 5 years. Sexennial, happens once in 6 years. Septennial, happens once in 7 years. Semi-centennial, happens once in 50 years. Sesquicentennial, happens in 150 years. Sexagenarian, in 60s. Septuagenarian, in 70s. Tercentennial, 300th anniversary. Tetracentennial, 400th anniversary. Triennial, happens once in 3 years. Tricennial, happens once in 30 years. Undecennial, happens once in 11 years. Bicennial, happens once in 20 years. Following words go in pairs. Bag and baggage, जिसका हिंदी शाब्दिक अर्थ होता है बोरिया बिस्तरा के साथ. ब्लैक एंड वाइट मीन्स लिखित में. ब्लैक एंड वाइट का मीनिंग बनता है लिखित में. ब्लैक एंड ब्लू, चोट से नीला पड़ा हुआ. चोट से कुछ नीला हो गया हो तो उसको हम इंग्लिश में बोलते हैं ब्लैक एंड ब्लू. बॉयज एंड गर्ल्स, ब्रेड एंड बटर, जीविकोपार्जन को हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं इसको जीविकोपार्जन, और इंग्लिश होती है इसकी ब्रेड एंड बटर. कैरेट्स एंड रेडिशेस, कैट्स एंड डॉग्स. कैट्स एंड डॉग्स को हम हिंदी में कहते हैं मूसलाधार. कप्स एंड सॉसर्स, डार्क एंड ड्रेरी, जिसका मीनिंग हिंदी में होता है उदास. डॉक्टर्स एंड नर्सेस, डोर्स एंड विंडोज, ड्यूक एंड डचेस, डल एंड ड्रैब, ईस्ट एंड वेस्ट, फेयर एंड स्क्वायर, जिसको हिंदी में कहते हैं ठीक निशाने पर. फैट एंड फ्लैबी, जिसको हिंदी में मीनिंग होता है ढीला ढाला. फैट एंड फ्लैबी. फ्रेंड्स एंड फॉइस, गॉड्स एंड गॉडेसेस, गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर, हेल एंड हर्टी, हेल एंड हर्टी को हम हिंदी में कहते हैं मोटा ताजा, हर्टी, हेल एंड हर्टी, हार्ट एंड सोल, हियर्थ एंड होम, पारंपरिक घर, हियर्थ एंड होम, हेयर एंड देयर, हेयर एंड देयर, हाई एंड लो, हॉर्स एंड कैरेज, hot and cold, hue and cry, ins and outs, joys and sorrows, knives and forks, ladies and gentlemen, law and order, lean and thin, loaves and fishes, lock and key, man and woman, part and partial, prince and princess, questions and answers, root and branch, rack and ruin, slow and steady, sons and daughters, spick and span, spick and span को हम हिंदी में कहते हैं साफ सुथरा, stout and strong, इसको हिंदी में कहते हैं हट्टा कट्टा, stout and strong, sum and substance की हिंदी होती है जोड़ तोड़, tooth and nail, जी जान से, ups and downs, उतार चढ़ाव, God related words, words related to spiritual science or spirituality, atheism, disbelief in God, atheism, जो ईश्वर में विश्वास नहीं करते, जिसको हिंदी में कहते हैं अनिश्वरवाद, एग्नोस्टिसिज्म, एग्नोस्टिसिज्म जिसको हम डिफाइन कर सकते हैं स्केप्टिसिज्म, डिसबिलीफ अबाउट गॉड, डीज़म, डीज़म को हम डिफाइन कर सकते हैं बिलीफ इन एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ ए डिवाइन बीइंग बट विदाउट एक्सेप्टेंस ऑफ रिविलेशन ऑफ रिलीजियस डॉगमा, जिसे हिंदी में कहते हैं आस्तिकता, डीज़म को हम हिंदी के अंदर आस्तिकता भी बोलते हैं, एथेनिज्म, belief in one of a group of gods without asserting that he is the only God. Monotheism को हम डिफाइन कर सकते हैं belief in one God, एकेश्वरवाद, पैंथीइज्म, belief that God is nature, प्रकृतिवाद कहते हैं हम इसे हिंदी में, पैंथीइज्म टर्म है इंग्लिश की, पॉलीथीइज्म जिसे हम हिंदी में कहते हैं बहुदेववाद, belief in many gods, polytheism, theism, belief in existence of one God, creator and ruler of the universe, but without the denial of revelation, जिसे हम हिंदी में कह सकते हैं आस्तिकवाद, animal traits, animal traits, animals की features के according, aculine एक एडजेक्टिव है और इसका डिस्क्रिप्शन हम दे सकते हैं ईगल लाइक, ग्रुड के समान, एक्यूलाइन, एसिनाइन, ऐश लाइक, मूर्खतापूर्ण, बोवाइन, ओक्स लाइक और काउ लाइक, कैनाइन, डॉग लाइक, कैप्रिक, कैप्रिक, गोट लाइक, सर्वाइन, डियर लाइक, corvine, crow-like, elephantine, elephant-like, equine, horse-like, feline, cat-like, leonine, lion-like, lupine, wolf-like, murine, rat-like, ophidian, snake-like, ovine, sheep-like, porcine, pig-like, serpentine, serpent-like, simian, monkey or ape-like, ursine, deer-like, vulpine, wolf-like. Professionals and professors. Architect, architect, he draws plan for a building. Astronaut, a space traveler. Bookmaker, he takes bets especially on horse races and writes down in his notebook. Balloonist, he ascends in a balloon. Chemist, he sells medicines. Chauffeur, he drives a motor car. Collier, he works in a coal mine. Compositor, he sets type in a printing press. Curator, an official in charge of a museum or art gallery. Custodian, caretaker of a public building. Cobbler, mender or maker shoes. Dietitian, an expert in food and nutrition. Draper, he sells cloth, fabric. Druggist, he sells medicine. Farrier, he shoes horses. He who deals in fish. Flautist, a flute player. Florist, a person who deals in flowers. Fruiterer, a person who deals in fruit. Fruiterer. Fruiterer is a person who deals in fruit. Florist, a person who deals in flower. Glazier, a person who sets glass in windows, doors. Glazier, a person who pastures cattle for the market. Hawker, he travels from place to place selling miscellaneous articles. Invigilator, a person who watches over students taking an examination. Ironmonger, a person who deals in iron or hardware. Jockey, a professional horse rider in a race. Lapidist, he cuts precious stones. Librarian, a person in charge of a library. Milliner, a person who makes and sells ladies' hat, etc. Oculist, he is an eye doctor. Optician, a specialist in making eyeglasses. Powerbroker, he lends money and keeps goods as security. Physician, he attends to sick people and prescribes medicines. Playwright, he writes plays. Plumber, he repairs water pipes and cisterns. Potter, he makes pots, cups, etc. Scavenger, he is a refuse collector. Sculptor, he carves marble or stone. Surveyor, he measures land. Technician, he is a technical expert. Tinker, he goes from place to place mending pots, pans, etc. Tobacconist, he sells tobacco and cigarettes. Usurer, he lends money at an exorbitant rate of interest. Violinist, he plays the violin. Human traits. Supercilious, a person who is overbearing, proud and haughty. Misanthrope, a person who hates mankind. Libertine, a person without moral. Impetus, a person who acts suddenly and without thought. Pugnacious, a person having an inclination to fight. Rapacious, a person having grasping nature, greedy. Malicious, a person who is malice and ill will. Insidious, a person who does harm secretly and craftily. Petulant, a person unreasonably impatient or irritable. A person unreasonably impatient or irritable. Hypocrite, a person who is feeling to be what he is not. Extrovert, a person more interested in what goes on around him than in his own thoughts and feelings. Introvert, a person more interested in his own thoughts and feelings than in things outside himself. Understanding a dabbler in art, science, or literature. Dilettante, he studies something but not seriously and not with real. Amiable, he is easy and pleasant to talk to. Dabonian, he is suave and light-hearted. Calvinist, he is a person with unreasoning partiality to his place or group. Plagiarist, he takes and uses somebody else's ideas, words, etc. as if they were his own. Egalitarian, he favors the doctrine of equal rights and opportunities for all citizens. Garrulous, he talks too much about unimportant things. Henpecked, he is ruled by his wife. Egoist, a person who is always thinks of himself. Egocentric, a who is self-centered. Gregarious, a person who likes the company of others. Judicious, a person who possesses a sound judgment. Boisterous, a person who is noisy and cheerful. Taciturn, a person who is habitually silent or reserved. Erudite, a person who is scholarly and learned. Punctilious, a person who is precise in the observance of forms or ceremonies. Epicurean, a person who loves the refinements of pleasure and believes that pleasure is the chief good. Stoic, a person who is unmovable by joy or grief. Atheist, a person denies the existence of God. Catholic, a person who is broad in outlook. Philistine, a person who of materialistic taste, indifferent to art and literature. Fastidious, a person difficult to please. Connoisseur, a person who is a critical judge in matters of taste. Antiquarian, a person interested in the study of ancient things. Ascetic, a person who practices self-denial and leads in austere life. Gourmet, a person who has a good taste for food. Optimist, he looks at the bright side of life. Pessimist, he looks at the dark side of life. Aesthete, he has a highly developed sense of beauty. Pedant, he makes a display of his learning. Sycophant, he is servile flatterer of the rich and powerful. Hedonist, he lives his life purely for pleasure, especially physical pleasure. Infidel, he has no belief in specific religion. Docile, he is quiet and easily controlled, managed or influenced. Conservative, he is opposed to greed or sudden change. Misogynist, he hates women. Philanthropist, he is kind and helpful to those who are poor or in trouble. Pornographer, he treats of sexual subjects in pictures or writing in a way that is meant to cause sexual excitement. Eccentric, he is a person who is peculiar, not normal in behavior. Misogamist, he hates the institution of marriage. Misologist, he hates learning and knowledge. Gullible, he is easily tricked and persuaded to believe something. Recluse, he lives in complete seclusion. Termagant, she is a noisy, quarrelsome woman. Imperious, he is commanding, haughty, and arrogant. Impertinent, he is impudent, saucy, and he does not show respect. Thank you, nice to see all of you.